The Big Ten season as a
Football
whole
in
is coming
general,
up. Yeah. With what we got a month and a half.
Camp starts in a couple weeks. They got SEC Media Days next week.
Sheesh. Okay. So obviously, big Ohio State fan here. Obviously, we got a Michigan fan who's sitting to the left of me.
Victors.
Unfortunately.
Respect the champs.
Yikes. So obviously, we got to come in and do our conference predictions for the year. The first team that we're going to start off with, a rival for the both of us, Michigan State.
Is Michigan State a rival of Ohio State? Do you rival with the poop on?
I think we rival more with obviously you guys in Penn State.
If you step in a green turd, does that count as a rivalry?
Yes, that's a fact.
It's literally what y'all did last year. Like
that's a literal fact.
You rub some green poop off your shoe on a curb, is that a rivalry? Is that what that is?
Nah, not at all. You're right.
So Michigan State. That'll be the only compliment that I pay you today. Michigan State's over/under win totals as told by Vegas, 7.5 wins. Who do you have, or how many wins this total for Sparty? For you?
So they're playing non-conference Western Michigan, Akron, and Washington.
Now if they struggle against Washington, or if they fuck around and lose against Washington, oh my god, I love making fun of Michigan State fans. It's a pastime of mine.
I'm gonna give them 5 losses.
So I'm gonna give them
7 and 5.
Okay, 7 and 5 for Spotty.
They're definitely at least losing 3, but I'm gonna give them 5.
They're gonna drop a game that they're not supposed to. So they got Rutgers. Who's after Rutgers?
Indiana and then Penn State.
Let me amend that. So they lose to Illinois. They beat Rutgers. Lose to Penn State. That's 4. Then they'd have to lose to Indiana.
Which I don't.
Do I believe that Tom Allen can beat Mel Tucker at Michigan State? I'm going to go 8-4 for Sparty.
That's fair.
I'll give him a little bit of bail there. I'll go 8-4.
I definitely had them losing to Penn State, and just between Washington, maybe Minnesota.
Lose to 2 teams that they're favored to beat for that to end up being a thing.
Yeah.
Now, if they mess around and lose to Washington, that's going to throw all of this in that haywire, and then 7 and 5 is probably it.
But if they show up to play like they did the last couple of years, then it's possible that they can, take over and do what they need to do, even against Penn State.
Can Washington this year be better than Miami was early in the season last year?
Possibly.
Good question.
Possibly. The next team we've already discussed so far already, Penn State.
Penn State. Goddamn Nittany Lions. Over/under on Penn State this year, 2022, is 8.5 wins.
That's pretty fair. I think they lose. I think they're going to beat Michigan State, so I'm going to give them. I give them 3 or 4. I'm going to give them 3. I'm going to give them 3 losses, and that'll leave them at what 9 and 3. Purdue, Ohio University, Auburn, Central Michigan.
Purdue, Ohio, Auburn, Central Michigan. I think is it in Purdue?
Yes. And I was a
tough.
little leery about that one.
That's tough. Opening up conference game versus a tough conference opponent.
Mm-hmm.
Somebody who can run the score up on you though. Like they can score. And that seems to be a recipe for beating Penn State is score just enough points to make them chase and shut down the run. And that's how you beat Penn State.
They don't have their star receiver in David Bell from last year, obviously.
Sure, but they got their quarterback back, though.
Yeah, yep.
I'm actually going to go out on a limb and say that they lose week 1 to Purdue.
Okay.
So that's 1.
If I went with that, then I'd say 4 losses. But they have Northwestern at home. They're playing you guys in
Michigan.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Then Minnesota, Ohio State.
That's a win. That's probably a loss. Well, that's going to be a whiteout. It's probably going to be a night game. If you could get Ohio State, that's probably where you'll get them.
We'll see. Indiana, Maryland, Rutgers, Michigan State.
It'll be Indiana, Rutgers, Maryland, and I already got them beating Michigan State. So I got them losing to Purdue week 1, Michigan, Ohio State. Yeah, I guess I got 9 and 3 as well.
Yeah.
I got them beating Auburn. I don't think Auburn's got anything at QB this year close to what they got out of Bo Nix, at least when they played Penn State.
Let's go with Rutgers.
Okay. It literally says NA.
Why?
And they don't have a projected season win total.
That's nuts.
Or they don't have an over-under.
That's crazy.
Or their projected season win totals are so low that they can't give you a legitimate number. So like if they're predicted to win like 3 games, how do you gonna do an over-under 2? I'm not betting on that. You're gonna bet on a team to win 1 game all year?
Looking at their schedule, I think they've got more than 3 for sure.
Okay, well, give it to me. What we got?
Non-conference is Boston College, Wagner, and Temple.
They will beat Wagner, obviously. Temple's been a tough out for some of our weaker Big Ten teams the last couple of years.
That's true.
Boston College, while they may be in the pits over there in the ACC, I say they go 2-1 versus that group. They go 2-1 versus that group.
I think they got that. I think they got that 3-0. Rutgers surprisingly had a decent season last year. I'm thinking that they're hoping to capitalize on
Their
that.
conference schedule is going to be absolutely brutal, though.
It will be. Let's start it off with Iowa,
Which is a loss.
Ohio State,
Another loss. That's 2-3.
Nebraska.
Nebraska might fuck around and lose the Rutgers, though. Nebraska might mess around and lose the Rutgers. That's one of them games that I feel like people are giving Scott Frost so much benefit of the doubt for this season.
Yeah.
I think they're going to take another step. They lose to Rutgers in week 5. I'm going to say Shiano's going to beat Frost early on in the season.
I would agree with that.
So then we are at 3-3.
Indiana.
Loss.
Really?
They're not going to beat Nebraska and Indiana back-to-back weeks. I think both of those teams are better than Rutgers. So
who does Indiana have at quarterback right now? They don't have.
It'll be better than whoever Rutgers has playing. Even if only barely, it'll be better than whoever Rutgers is rolling out.
Okay. Minnesota.
Loss.
Michigan.
3-4.
Michigan.
Or 3-5. Michigan, super loss. 70-point loss.
Michigan State.
3-6. Loss. 3-7.
Penn State.
Loss. 3-8.
Maryland.
Yeah, by that time the team's probably giving up.
That's crazy.
They probably giving up. Yeah, 3-9.
That is wild.
3-9 for Rutgers. That's what I'm going with.
I think they can possibly win.
Their conference schedule is fucking disgusting.
It is. It is very
terrible.
much so. But I think they got maybe another win or two that they can hopefully cling on.
I mean, Indiana's a toss-up.
Yes.
Maryland at the end of the year is going to be a toss-up. And then again, I only said that Indiana was going to beat them off the strength that they beat Nebraska the week before. Nebraska could very well beat them. It could be 2. It could be 2 wins.
Or it could be two losses for them.
Or it could be 2 losses for Indiana and Nebraska. That would surprise me. That now at that point they would slide into 5 and they'd be circling around bowl contention. They'll be waiting for somebody to get COVID or decline their
which is nuts.
decline their invitation because all their players decided to sit out.
Crazy.
But they'll have a chance at a bowl game.
Yeah.
3 wins is a step back, and that doesn't look so good for the program. But that's where I got them, though. I could see 5, maybe. But 3 is probably where they land.
Okay.
So you got 5 and 6, or why can't I count 5 and 7?
I got 4 and 8.
What the hell happened to 5?
I said they might be able to win 2 more.
Oh, what type of shit is that?
I said might.
4 and 8?
Yeah, 4. I'll go 4 and 8.
Oh, how edgy.
Since we talked about them in the Rutgers prediction, Indiana
Hoosiers. I like Tom Allen. I do. And when he is subsequently fired from Indiana, I hope we have a spot for him on our coaching staff. Because I like Tom Allen. But I don't think he's long for Indiana. I think that year that they came out and they almost beat Ohio State, they set themselves on a new playing field, and I blame some of the media apparatus for this because y'all made Indiana believe that they were the next it team. You absolutely did. There were some of you that were picking Indiana to win the East a year ago. Before the season started last year, y'all gave Indiana, hell, Vegas gave Indiana better odds at winning the Big Ten championship than the eventual Big Ten champions. I blame y'all. So now then the school got accustomed to the high expectations. They probably was like, all right, well, this is our year. And boy, did them expectations change.
Yeah.
Quickly.
Whoever they have at quarterback is going to have to show out.
Yeah.
If they're even thinking about being bowl eligible. So that's where it's like.
Did I give you the win total?
No.
4.5 wins is what they're projecting.
That sounds about right. I'm going to be honest with you. Looking at the schedule, I'm just like,
What's the out of conference?
So they start off with Illinois.
Okay.
And then their actual non-conference is Idaho, Western Kentucky, Cincinnati.
So they're losing to Cincinnati.
Yes. I think they could possibly lose to Illinois.
I think they might lose to Illinois.
I do too.
I got them going 2-2
Especially an opening
in the first
game.
4.
I think
2-2 in the first 4 games.
Okay. And then from there, we're going Nebraska.
I don't like rooting or trying to guarantee Nebraska wins, but I'll say either. Nebraska 2-3.
I'd agree with that. Michigan
2-4.
Maryland
3-4.
Okay. Rutgers. You said that you think Indiana's going to win that one?
Yes.
Now, see, I had...
Yes, because they beat... Because Nebraska beats...
Yeah. Or Rutgers beats Nebraska.
Rutgers beats Nebraska the week before.
And then loses to Indiana.
Got it.
I
got Nebraska losing to some motherfuckers.
Yeah, no, that's wild. Yeah, I don't... I think Rutgers could possibly win, but I had it as the same thing, I think. Penn State.
Lost 3-5.
Ohio State.
Yeah, lost 3-6.
Michigan State.
3-7.
Purdue. For the last game, I think Purdue goes all out.
I mean, if I'm saying right now, start of the season, I'm picking Purdue.
I am too.
I don't know what everything's going to look at, at the end, last game of the season.
If Purdue is I don't think they're going to be contending, but if Purdue is a decent team, they're going to have some fight going into that
for the West.
If they have a bad season, they're going to look to take out all their frustration against Indiana in the last game.
So that's the difference between 3 and 4 wins.
Yeah,
I got 3 wins, man.
Yeah.
3 and 9 for Rutgers and Indiana.
Yeah.
Now, if you can squeak a couple wins in there where he's not supposed to, there's your bowl eligibility.
Yeah.
What do you got? 3 and 9?
Yeah. I think Rutgers can pull it out.
Okie dokie.
I'd rather root for Rutgers than Indiana.
Does it really make a difference at that point?
It doesn't at all. But Greg Schiano. All right, so let's go on to the Maryland Terrapins.
Mike Loosely.
I forgot you had a whole thing against them.
Yeah, screw Mike Loosely. This is probably going to be his last year, too. We don't need no offensive coordinators, though, dog. We good. We good over here, homie.
You want to talk about tough Big Ten schedules, too.
What? Oh, for Maryland, we are looking at a over-under of...
It's not gonna show
5.5 wins.
Really?
That's surprising. Yeah, more than Indiana. More than a couple teams here. More than Rutgers. Interesting. 5.5
You know what?
wins
I guess that's not
Terrapins.
that's not too far off. Non-conference is Buffalo, Charlotte, and SMU.
Okay, so they should win all of those. That's 3-0.
Then they're starting conference play with Michigan,
Loss.
Michigan State,
Loss.
Purdue,
Loss. 3-3.
Indiana.
I just said Indiana was going to beat them, didn't I?
Yep.
But I could see it, though. 3-4.
Okay. Northwestern.
Poor Pat, man. Poor Pat Fitzgerald.
You think Northwestern's going to lose that one? Yeah, I guess we are talking about Tua's little brother.
Yes, I do. I think they're going to lose to Maryland. So we got 4 and 5.
Wisconsin, Penn State, Ohio State, Rutgers.
Wisconsin, Penn State, Ohio State are all losses.
Did we not say Rutgers was going to beat
8.
them?
Ohio State, Penn State, Wisconsin are all losses. So that's 3 and 7.
And you got to hang up about.
And then
Rutgers.
they got Rutgers at the end of the year.
I think the same thing about Rutgers in that position as I thought about Purdue against Indiana.
That's tough, man. That's 4 and 8 or 3 and 9. I could see 3 and 9 though. I could see 3 and 9. I could see Rutgers beating Maryland at the end of the year. Is Tua going to even make it through the season? And
Tua's little brother.
Talia, excuse me. Yeah. Is he even going to make it through the season? Because offensive line wasn't great. Didn't pull in a whole lot along the lines of that in the transfer portal, or at least nothing transformational.
Yeah.
Still got a stable of receivers there and an obvious gunslinger, but if he's going to be running for his life the majority of the games this year, I don't think that's going to help him to win too many games. So
I think they'll have a couple of close ones, but they're just not good enough to pull it out over teams like Purdue or even Rutgers, to me.
Maryland, I got you at 3 and 9, which is making the bottom half of our conference look very doo-doo.
I mean,
it's okay. It's all right. That's just
not like I
half.
expect teams like Mississippi State and
Vanderbilt.
Yeah, I don't expect them to do much.
Who's up next?
Wisconsin.
Wisconsin. Oh, yeah. I'm from Wisconsin. Well, most of my family is from Waukesha. But I've got some family down in Manitowoc and Manitowoc and Waukesha and in Green Bay and why can't I think of the cities in Wisconsin anymore? I used to know a lot of them. It's got crazy, that's old Indian territory, so
yikes.
A lot of weird names.
Did you say Milwaukee?
Yeah, but Milwaukee doesn't sound weird in a Wisconsin accent.
Oh, okay, fair enough.
Milwaukee?
Somewhere in Wisconsin.
In Wisconsin, yes, I'm from Wisconsin. All right, so Wisconsin. Now that we're done with that shit. Win totals, 8.5 wins. That's a good number for Wisconsin.
Be honest with you, Chief. That's looking pretty possible here. Illinois State.
Okay.
Washington State.
Okay.
New Mexico State.
So 3-0.
Clean sweep.
Okay.
Then their first conference game. They're probably going to lose that one.
Things is getting interesting here.
That is an interesting game. It's a good game.
It's an interesting game. Number one, it's early in the season.
Yes.
Running teams early in the season.
Yes.
Ohio State Kryptonite. Maybe.
In Columbus.
That is advantage Ohio State because we still got to worry about Graham Mertz going on the road and beating a top 5 team. So
interesting little setup.
Ultimately, I think that puts them at 3-1, but I would not be surprised if they were able to squeak out a win, especially if that ends up being a night game.
Of course.
I'll say 3-1.
All right. Then they play Illinois, looking to take out their frustration against Illinois.
Yeah, so they'll get right 4-1.
Northwestern after that. 5-1.
Damn, Northwestern. Shit.
Yeah. Michigan State.
Ooh, okay. Sparty versus the Badgers. Where are we at? Are we in Lansing or are we in?
We're in Lansing.
Madison. Okay.
But I think we said we got Wisconsin winning that one. You know what it is?
Did we go on Michigan State already? Yeah, they were the first team we went on. Okay.
You know what it is, though? I think once we see it from the other team's side, it's like, oh, well, they're because we get to see the full schedule. Then it's like, oh, well, they got to play play Michigan State after.
So then that would make them 5-1 at that point if they beat Michigan State, and I
They
think
make
I
them
have them
6-1. And then Purdue
at 6-1 versus Purdue, and this will be for Western for the Western positioning as well.
in Wisconsin,
Western Division in Madison.
in Camp Randall.
I desperately want to see Purdue come out of the West. I think they're a good team.
Yeah.
Plus, I think we will beat the holy dog doo-doo out of them in the conference game.
I know we will.
I want to see them. I think Minnesota got a little bit too many weapons for my liking. Plus, they got their offensive coordinator back that they had when Tanner Morgan threw those 30 TDs. Receivers ain't coming back, but the offensive coordinator came back.
Yeah.
Wisconsin, I think we can handle them, but I would rather play Purdue.
Of course. Of course.
So, in that light, I'm going to say Wisconsin gets their second loss of the season versus Purdue at home at Camp Randall.
Okay. I'm not going that far. I think Wisconsin edges that game out.
Okay. So that puts them at 6-2.
Yeah. Yep.
3 more games.
7-1. Then Maryland.
Oh, they'll beat Maryland. They'll beat the dog shit out of Maryland.
I agree. Especially if
7-2.
if they lose to Purdue.
Yeah, 7-2.
And then Iowa.
Ooh.
Yeah, and it's in Iowa.
Late in the season.
Yeah.
Iowa also presumably vying for the Western title.
Mm-hmm.
Oh.
That one's a tough one.
Yeah, currently 7-2 going up versus Iowa. Until Graham Mertz proves me different. And he could do so very early in the season. So this is definitely, pre-camp. This is obviously preseason, very early. But right now, I'm going to say Iowa wins that one because I don't think right now, at least right now, what I know of Graham Mertz, they don't have the guy behind center.
Yeah.
To go to Iowa and beat them.
Yeah.
Late in the season. It's going to be cold.
You think Iowa's DBs are going to play like they did last year?
I don't think it's going to matter. Not that Graham Mertz is going to be that terrible, but they will not need to play at 5-star elite level to beat Graham Mertz. I don't think.
Fair. Yeah, that's going to be a tough one. I think they're both going to be I think they'll both have a couple losses, but they're going to be fighting it out for sure.
All right. So we got one more.
I'll give it to Iowa as well, I think.
So
only because it's in Iowa.
Okay.
I think that'll give them the edge. And then Nebraska and Minnesota to close it out. I think they'll beat both teams.
Well, I'm off then. So then it was supposed to be 7-3. I thought I had 8 wins.
You have, 3 non-conference, Illinois, Northwestern, Michigan State, did you say?
That they will beat Michigan State?
Yeah. Yeah, because you said they would lose to Purdue, which was next.
Yeah.
And then Maryland. And
so that's 7.
Are you going to have them beat Nebraska and Minnesota?
Wisconsin will beat Nebraska. So that is 8.
That's 8.
Northwestern? Yes.
Minnesota.
Oh.
They already beat Northwestern.
Last game of the season, huh?
Mm-hmm.
Minnesota. That game is probably going to decide who wins the West in some way, shape, or form. Whether Minnesota is playing for a championship berth or to play spoiler, that game will probably decide who goes.
I can see that too.
I
got Wisconsin winning that because it's in Wisconsin. Camp Brown was one of the hardest places for teams to play.
Fine. We got 9-3 for Wisconsin Badgers.
I think I had
10-2.
Yep.
Okay, big boy Badgers 10-2.
And then let's go ahead and discuss the other team that's going to be in that race, which is Iowa.
Iowa Hawkeyes, who also don't have a quarterback but have an amazing defense and a system that'll put them in position to win 80% of their ball games usually when they're not totally outclassed talent-wise. So.
For sure.
Win total for Iowa, 7.5 wins.
Okay. Yeah, I'm gonna be looking at Iowa because I just want to see if Riley Moss is gonna be anywhere where he was last year at DB. I mean, if he is, he's gonna be one of the premier people on their defense.
Defense for sure.
Non-conference is South Dakota State, Iowa State, and Nevada.
They will go. Let's say 3-0. Say 3-0 for the Hawkeyes. So we're almost halfway there.
First conference game is Rutgers.
That'll be a win.
I think so too. And then we got Michigan.
Now, for some reason or another, it's an early season game, but they're saying that may be a noon kickoff. That's a noon kickoff. That's a loss for Iowa. For sure, like 100%.
Illinois.
Win.
Yep. Ohio State.
5-1.
In Columbus.
So that's what, week 6, 7?
Week 7, I think.
Little lighter and a little heavier into the season. They will have already played Notre Dame and Wisconsin to that point. Probably a little bit more prepared for the run. Or at very least, we will know what type of run defense they are by then.
Yes.
That's tough. I count that as a loss.
Northwestern.
I'll count that as a dub.
Purdue.
6-2.
In Purdue.
Purdue. Loss. I don't think they'll be able to keep up scoring wise. Being that it's going to be on the road, I will count that as a loss for them.
I would agree. I'm going to agree with that. I'm going to give Purdue that one.
Was that 6-3? 6-3. We got 3 games left.
We've got Wisconsin. And I think
Didn't we just call that? So we had Wisconsin winning that.
Yeah.
No, you did.
I definitely did.
You did. I don't think I did. Because I have them at 9-3. So what's Iowa?
Minnesota and Nebraska.
What's Minnesota and Nebraska?
In Minnesota, at home against Nebraska. They definitely beat Nebraska.
They're beating Nebraska and Minnesota.
I think so too.
Damn, so that's 9-3 for Iowa too?
No, not for me.
What did you have?
I had, 1, 2, 3, 4 losses. So 8-4.
I had them losing to Wisconsin, Ohio State, and Michigan. 9-3.